personas pueden compartir y vivir en el mismo delirio.
They're saying you're a bad influence on me.
¿Qué pasa cuando la manipulación se disfraza de amor?
Let's give the people what they want.
Aunque muchos se sorprendan, este tipo de preguntas son las que nos plantea Guasón 2, Folie, Deux, protagonizada por el ganador del Oscar, Joaquin Phoenix, y por supuesto que después de tener una primera película que fue elogiada por todos, había que redoblar la apuesta al momento de hacer la secuela, y nada mejor que contar con Lady Gaga para interpretar a Ali, el bad romance del famoso villano. Acompáñanos a descubrir lo que estas talentosas estrellas nos contaron sobre el filme y cómo Todd Phillips, el director, se animó a reinventar este villano clásico. Yo soy Gaby Cam y esto es Inside Warner, Guasón 2, Folie, Deux.
When I first saw Joker, for once in my life, I didn't feel so alone anymore. You can do anything you want.
Showtime.
I find very hard to describe how I feel towards Arthur while I'm watching him on film. Where did you find empathy for him when building him in first place?
He's done these things that morally you don't approve of, but you still felt like a connection to him in some ways? Tell me about that.
You just put it in the best words possible. I think that's it. I felt
So
just
you
like
felt
the
like
jury.
conflicted?
I don't know how.
You
Yes,
felt-
there you
right.
go. And,
Yeah.
I think that's the way it's supposed to be from the film, right?
Yeah, and I mean, honestly, I think part of this film is exploring the conflict that he feels as well, and what he feels about himself. Part of what's interesting, the first film, he's so desperate to be heard. He finds that he's talking to anybody that will listen, and no one does until he screams and commits this act of violence. And I think this film, this film is many things, but one element is him coming to terms with that. But really, it's through warmth and romance and the promise of love that he starts to examine himself in a different way.
I want to see the real you. It's just us now.
Do you feel like you fully understand this character?
I don't need to or want to. I mean, I try not to impose too much, right? It's part of, for me, it's like an experience that I'm having.
I am free!
You know, Joker is ultimately a comic book character, and you turned it into such a human character. It's hard to even take a part on this story as an audience member. And I wanted to ask you that because I was feeling just like the jury did. I didn't know what to think. I didn't know like, if I believed him, if I didn't.
Yeah.
How did you make sure that we all had the same experience as people in this context?
I think that's the magic of actors, honestly. I mean, what we could write the script as well as we could write it. We could film everything as beautiful as we could film it. But I think the reason that works for you is because of the way Joaquin inhabits Arthur and the way Joaquin inhabits his version of Joker. I would put that all on why actors do what they do and why we all respond to it, you know? When I watch movies, all I watch are the actors. As beautiful as you could make it and all the sets and all the whatever, I'm always just watching the actors. And Joaquin is just one of those people, I just can't take my eyes off him when he does it, you know?
But you're the puppet master, ultimately.
Thank you. You are no different than any of those people that underestimated me.
Also, don't do this to yourself. It isn't you.
It isn't me. So you don't think this is me? Well, maybe you don't know who I really was.
You know, I know that it was very important for you to understand medication, and we went from an unmedicated Arthur to a medicated one. Did that change in any way your approach as an actor to this character?
He seems kind of void of any feeling when we first see him. And you understand that his days have become very rote and lifeless. And certainly the medication is a part of that. And then there's a moment where you see the first glimmer of life come back, and it's when he sees Lee.
I feel feel like music says so much about the people who sings it and creates it, and I also feel like that's the same case in this film. So what do you think is what these songs say about Lee's perception of life and love?
You know, these songs for sure have a very special meaning to my character. And, you know, each song was like perfectly chosen to express the moment and to add complexity to the film. She's just trying to understand how to be happy. And I think she sees all of her joy and any potential for like true bliss in her life to come from Joker. And to come from somebody that other people don't believe in, but like she believes in him just fully. And I think that the music then is used as a way for her to connect to that feeling. It's kind of fantastical thinking of the first movie and everything Arthur went through and where we start the second film. The circumstances are so wild that, you know, it really takes a lot for this woman to love him the way that she does. And you see that, you know, you feel it in the music and you see it in what it's done to her.
Can you tell us a little bit about how these songs describe the way, especially Arthur, perceives life and love?
To me, in the first film, one of the things Arthur and I really talked about early on was this idea that he has a music within him. That even though he's left-footed and sort of out of step with the world, there's a romance inside of Arthur, even in the first film. You know, it's kind of illustrated when he dances in the bathroom, if you remember, or when he's dancing down the stairs at the end of the first film. So really for us, it was like taking that idea a step further, that if he met somebody, if there was love in his life, maybe instead of that music being within him, that music comes out of him. And it was kind of that simple.
And I love that you had musicians on set.
We did, because we wanted to do it live and we didn't want to dictate the sort of tempo that these guys sing at, meaning Joaquin and Gaga, so we kind of wanted it to be as loose as it could possibly be.
And I found really interesting that you chose the songs taking consideration of the context of Arthur, you know, like the mother?
That's right. What he may have heard growing up, what his mother probably played in his, even in the first movie, if you remember, Arthur was giving her a bath at one point, and she's got Lawrence Welk on the radio, and it's just kind of these old standards that Arthur grew up listening to.
Let's get out of here.
Folie es un síndrome psiquiátrico en el que dos personas se transmiten un mismo síntoma psicótico. En la ciudad de Gotham, Arthur Fleck va a ser enjuiciado después de lo ocurrido en la primera película. Y todos se preguntan quién es verdaderamente. Si resulta que él sigue siendo ese niño traumatizado que se disocia en determinados momentos, la condena no será tan dura. Pero si se determina que Arthur es el guasón, un despiadado asesino, deberá pagarlo con su vida. Su abogado tendrá una opinión. Quinzel y la sociedad tendrán otra. Y tú también elegirás de qué lado estás.
They're sending me home.
Why?
They're saying you're a bad influence on me.
I watched, you know, old asylum videos of people that had Folie Deux, and it was like heartbreaking, scary, and also a very extreme version of what people do when they're in love. They will defend each other. They will say, his dreams are my dreams. When we are in love, sometimes we will do, you know, insane things. And so Folie Deux to me is just an expression of love. And I think it's used in an interesting way in the title of this film to sort of, you know, beckon the question, like, what is insanity really? And aren't we all a little bit insane?
I'm nobody. I haven't done anything with my life like you have.
I also feel like Arthur is very influenced by other people's expectations on him. So I wanted to ask you from this character's point of view, but also from your artistic point of view, how does that affect people, like trying to please other people?
You know, I think that like trying to please other people is so much a part of our everyday life, you know, and I think it's a pressure that a lot of people feel. And I I try to remember that the things that make me feel the most alive are when I'm, finding a way to communicate my truth in a way that's really honest. So I think it's kind of impossible to avoid, being in a way that like other people will, admire you for. But I think the ultimate freedom is being yourself. But, Lee, my character, she very much wants Arthur to love her. So I think that, what you're saying is actually really relevant to her as a female character. It's kind of like constantly thinking to myself, what would make him love me in this moment? What would he like? And yet there is also something about her. There's this like tension where you always feel that like Lee's also doing her own thing. And like, so, the seduction of Joker and Lee being kind of a dangerous and erratic, chaotic person, those two things kind of go hand in hand.
Guasón 2, Folie à Deux llega a los cines este 3 de octubre y por fin podrás sacar tus propias conclusiones y resolver tus dudas sobre si es un musical, cómo hicieron para que Lady Gaga desafinara y cómo es que Joaquin Phoenix bajó tanto de peso. Algo que sí te diré es que a esta secuela le sobra talento, así que pon tu mejor sonrisa y compra ya tus boletos para estar en primera fila de la película más desquiciada del año. No te olvides de seguirnos en las redes de Warner Channel. Yo soy Gaby Cam y esto fue Inside Warner, Guasón 2, Folie à Deux.
Tell us, what's changed, Arthur?
I'll tell you what's changed. I'm not alone anymore. That's what we should be talking about.